This piece is called Color Grid. I want to do a piece that referenced sort of the whole genre of color geometric abstracts, people who paint a whole canvas red, let's say, or paint lines on a canvas. I don't know of a specific painting that's a white canvas with 9 squares on it, but I'll bet it exists, and it's just a matter of me finding it now. So the idea was to take 9 squares and play with colors, sort of like an Albers color study. But within that, I thought there was a lot of room for playfulness. What are our ideas about color? Like, we have colors for things. So in here you'll see a pink paint pour down over one of the squares, and it's actually Pepto-Bismol, and we refer to Pepto-Bismol pink. There's blue jeans in here, things like that. There's also just colorful objects, some fruit, that's an orange and a green apple. Looked at neutrals, where there's a whole palette of images that come up that are in shades of gray that are slightly different colors. And I have scenes where there's very much more bright saturated colors. Within here, there's minor references to art. I come in with an umbrella and a top hat with the apple over my face, doing a Magritte impression. There's also when I place a scene where I place a pear up into this gray frame, and it's not referencing a specific artist or piece, but it's a classic painted or photographic still life, either one. Once the pear's in place, it looks like some painting or photo you may have seen. There's another scene where there's a close-up of a cabbage, which no longer looks like a cabbage, and it's referencing still life photographers like Weston. It's in black and white and abstracted. But in this piece, through the video, it starts to be mirrored upon itself, and you end up with this sort of ghoulish face that's visible. I've also worked in a few scenes of human endeavor or trials. There's a place where I drop a rope down and through a couple squares, and then I climb up the rope out of the scene, which, struggling the whole time to get to the top of the rope. The climbing up the rope to me just symbolizes struggle to do something, to accomplish something. In actually doing the scene, I discovered that, at least without knots in the rope, which this one did not have, I couldn't do it. And I'm not sure if I could have done it when I was a teenager, but I think I could. And I discovered that it was a lot harder than I imagined. So I had to use, some tricks to make it look like I was lifting myself into the air. And but the point of it was there's things we always do that are a little bit of a struggle, and so it's metaphorical as opposed to literal. The photographic image in the background here is from the Art Institute, and the painting is the painting. The 9 squares are the video, but I'm imagining a large white canvas, and I've actually painted a white canvas here. One thing that was really interesting to me, particularly in this piece, is as I'm making a painting, there's always the question, am I painting a painting of the idea of a painting, which is usually exactly what I'm doing, or am I creating a painting that is a painting in and of itself? And in this case, it's not only a painting of an idea of a painting, it needs to be a painting of a photograph of an idea of a painting. And I'll explain that. This white canvas, in order to look like it belongs in the scene, I had to paint darker in these corners where the photographic image is darker. I also painted it much darker than you would imagine you would paint a white canvas. If you take this off of here and put it on a white surface away from this photograph, it's a fairly dark gray painting, actually. It's not white at all. It's not even close. So I've had to paint some photographic trompe-l'oeil, if you will, into this by making the corners darker. I made it a little bit warmer in tone, in color tone in the center, the borders being a little bit bluer. And that makes it look like it belongs in this photograph. So I would say it's a painting of the idea of a painting and a photograph or something like that.